iRacing is a sim racing game that combines a true-to-life racing experience with an online community of virtual racers from all around the globe. iRacing offers a multitude of officially licensed cars and tracks, laser scanned with millimeter accuracy. Their car models and mechanical systems are based on real-world physics and engineered in cooperation with manufacturers and race teams. Their skill license system ranges from rookie to pro, ensuring members are always pitted against those with similar skill sets. Members are able to sign up for a weekly race series, compete in time trials, host a private race with friends, and participate in racing leagues created and run by the community. With over 170,000 members, iRacing works in partnership with renowned motorsports organizations like NASCAR to deliver virtual races based on the real-life NASCAR Cup Series, as well as many other series on the NASCAR ladder. iRacing also features team racing, providing a variety of options for members to create and manage their own teams. Race with friends or real-world teammates in full-length endurance events like the 24 Hours of Daytona, Spa 24, or the Bathurst 12 Hour. Additional partners include IMSA, World of Outlaws, Supercars, and IndyCar, allowing members to race in their very own Indianapolis 500, Bathurst 1000, Chili Bowl, and many more iconic events. This is iRacing, delivering the most authentic racing experience short of getting into a real race car. Sign up today at iRacing.com.
Good afternoon, race fans, and welcome to the show. Tonight we have an early one here as we do the race recap here from last week's Kansas race. This is race number 10 and the final race before the playoffs here for the American Sim Racing Club Next Gen Series. So a lot riding on this here. After this race, it will determine the points and who is locked in for the first round of 12 here of these drivers. It looks like tonight we have 12 drivers on the premise ready to do battle here at the Kansas Speedway. It should be a good one here as tonight's race is the scheduled distance of 90 laps. So these drivers going to have to figure out where to be on the track as we wrap up practice here. Looks like Kyle Munson in the number 8 Horizon machine, quickest in practice. We'll see if he can carry that over for the qualifying here, as Kansas Motor Speedway is a fun track. It's multi-groove and a lot of lanes of racing here, especially these next-gen cars. You can run up against the wall if you need your car loose, or if it's tight, you can drive it all the way down to that inside line. So a lot to keep an eye on here as we head over to our qualifying session and try and get some cars out on the speedway here. And it looks like maybe we might not get qualifying here. So we're going to go to a commercial break quick. Be on the other side here just in a second with our starting order of tonight's race. So don't go anywhere, folks. We'll be right back here with some about to be some green flag racing action. Alrighty, folks, we head back here to the Kansas Motor Speedway here for the grid. Quick time tonight with a 13.15 is the driver of the number 48 machine. Tim Rogers will be starting on the pole. Starting to his outside is the number 8 Horizon machine of Kyle Munson. Row number 2 looking like the following: Hayden Swank in that 35 machine down low, with Brian Wilderson in the 951 starting to his outside. Starting P number 5 is the 23 machine, that being piloted by Stephen Hoffman, with Dave Payne in the 38 Pinkerton machine starting in 6th. 7th going to Zach Rush in the 82 Chevy Camaro, with Brandon Marlowe in the 37 High Lap Heroes machine starting in 8th. 9th being Deonta Hira in the 00 machine, with AJ Hamill here in the 44 starting deep in the field in 11th. And starting shotgun on the field here tonight in P number 11 is the number 1 machine of Tanner Tallarico. Actually, there is still one more car hiding in the back here, folks, as it looks like Devin McDonald in the number 18 machine is making the start here, and it looks like he will start P number 13, the last car on that inside lane behind the one of Tanner Tallarico. So that will do it for our starting lineup, as we got a lot of good cars here tonight. It could be anyone's race, but I believe most of these drivers in this point should be eligible for these playoffs. So these guys just going for some bonus points, trying to stay ahead of the cut line in this first round of racing as we get cars rolling on the speedway here. Tim Rogers in that 48 machine will lead the field to green. Kansas, of course, another one of those 1.5 mile D-shaped ovals as we take a look here at the track map here. And like I said, folks, very dynamic track. You could run anywhere on the speedway, all the way up to the wall, all the way to that inside white line. So we'll see that here tonight with the dynamic track here for this 1.5 miler, looking like a nice cool 78 degrees. And we got to thank all the viewers like you tuning in on the Turn 3 Racing Network to watch these drivers of the American Sim Racing Club Next Gen Series do battle. Off of turn number 4, the field will come. The iRacers pace car makes the hard left-hand turn down pit road. And now we wait for Tim Rogers. He's on the loud pedal here in the Geico restart zone. We go green flag racing here at the Kansas Motor Speedway. And we'll watch the field dive it down. Tim Rogers gets a great start out there by himself. Now Hayden Swank about a half a car advantage over Kyle Munson. Munson keeping his foot in the loud pedal, and Brian Wilderson already trying some different lines. He's up against the top side here on lap number 1. So right now Tim Rogers leading the way, but now battle for second, maybe 3 cars as Brian Wilderson finds some open air up top there. 3 wide, almost contact off of turn number 4. Wilderson has to back on out of it. And here comes Stephen Hoffman in the mix as well, down low. You can put a blanket over these cars for this battle for second, all of them right on top of each other. Munson kind of working that middle line. Brian Wilderson, oh, it's contact. Munson gets loose, he clips Hayden Swank. Swank somehow hangs onto that 35 machine. That is a piece of driving there, folks, from Hayden Swank. You do not see drivers make saves like that. One car hard in the outside wall. That is the 18 machine of Devin McDonald. He got loose. I don't know if he had extra contact or whatnot, but that car is destroyed in this Worldwide Express number 18 machine. That was a hard hit for Devin McDonald. Looks like we stay green out in front. Tim Rogers about a half a second lead over Stephen Hoffman. Hoffman quickly charging through the field, definitely taking advantage of that almost spin by Hayden Swank. He sits in P number 2, and Brian Wilderson finally gets around Kyle Munson on the high side. So Wilderson up into P number 3. Munson, I think maybe taking a little bit more easy. He has slipped back to P number 4. We'll see now if he's under fire from Dave Payne, who is right on the back bumper of that number 8 machine. A lot of good racing, very tight racing here early in this race. These drivers are going for it from the drop of the green flag. As Kyle Munson, shorter distance around 3 and 4, he has drawn side by side with Wilderson. They'll dive it down into turn number 1. Wilderson will sail it up top. Munson will try and wrap this white line for as long as he can. As you can just see the speed difference from Wilderson running that top lane. I mean, at least 2 to 3 miles an hour quicker down the backstretch by the end of it. As now Wilderson has a run on Hoffman. Hoffman has the momentum off of turn number 4 though. They single file on out here all the way up into P number 7, where there's a battle there. Deontay Hero and Brandon Marlowe side by side here as they head through turns 1 and 2. Some guys kind of riding on around here for a minute. Tanner Tallarico in that boardwalk sub number 1 machine. AJ Hamill in that Project Confusion number 44, also hanging back, biding his time. And Hayden Swank with that big time slide is like, yeah, I'm going to go keep out of the Hornet's Nest. I'm going to go ride back here and make sure my stuff's there at the end. As we continue to look at side-by-side racing action now, Dave Payne to the outside of Kyle Munson. We'll see them dive down here in turns number 1 and 2, but Munson once again committed to this inside line. Payne now trying to make this top side work here in 3 and 4. It looks like he'll have a big run and clear him. Now Payne looks to go right to the back bumper. Brian Wilderson as well. Further on back, now Wilderson goes up to the top. We look back, continue at the battle for P number 7 as Brandon Marlowe and Deontay Hero side by side down the backstretch. And contact as Brandon Marlowe goes spinning down the backstretch. He will lock him up, but that will, I believe, bring out our first yellow flag of the night here. As that does, the yellow flag falls on the speedway here as drivers backing it on down, but contact there between this 00 machine and the 37. It looked like cars just going for the same gap, trying to side draft as aggressively as possible. And that ended up turning Brandon Marlowe. Luckily, Marlowe keeping it off of all the walls, so he just needs to slap some fresh Goodyear tires on that car and he'll be good to go. As while we're watching that, I'm pretty sure Brian Wilderson out of nowhere takes over the race lead, so we will have to see this early. Do guys come down and take some tires? They have 3 sets, so you got to use them wisely, but it looks like Brian Wilderson will come down pit road. It looks like no one else except for guys towards the back coming down pit road, so a split strategy here at the Kansas Speedway. We'll have to wait and see how this works out, as we'll be right back here after commercial break. We come back here to the Kansas Speedway with some split strategy to be had. As first car down pit road is our 6th place driver on this restart, Brian Wilderson, coming on down pit road to take 4 fresh tires. We'll see how this works out here as the rest of the top 5 staying out and saving that extra set. So Tim Rogers will once again lead the field here to green flag in that number 48 RogersCars.com machine. Stephen Hoffman in the 23 will restart to his outside. Hoffman charged early on that initial start. We'll see what kind of short run pace he has in that 23 machine and see if he'll take this lead away from Tim Rogers. The field now getting ready to go back to green flag racing action. Lights are extinguished around the Kansas Speedway. The iRacing pace car makes the hard left-hand turn, and now Tim Rogers waits till the Geico restart zone. He'll jump on the loud pedal here, go through the sequential gearbox. Him and Dave Payton on top of it on this restart. I think some coordination definitely happened between those two, because now they go 1 and 2 here through 3 and 4. A little bit further back, Brian Wilderson gets around Zach Rush. Now Rush under fire from 2 cars right behind him, that being the 37 machine and the 44. We'll see how those two get on around, but we got to keep an eye, of course, on Brian Wilderson. How quickly does he get through the field here? As leaders almost kiss the wall there in turns 1 and 2. Dave Payne trying to keep some air on the nose of that 38 machine, running just a half a car length higher than Tim Rogers through the corner. As Stephen Hoffman right there on the back bumper of Dave Payne in case he makes any sort of mistake. Further on back, side-by-side racing action. Hayden Swink trying to get through some cars as well. Try and get back up to that top 5 where he spun out of a little bit earlier in this race. Brandon Marlowe did get around Zach Rush. Now AJ Hamill clear of the 82 machine down the backstretch. He'll slide right up in front of Deontay here in that Heat Wave 00 machine. So some good racing. Everyone very much keeping their cars in one piece here. Not as crazy as the initial start. I think they know tires coming into effect, especially with the split strategy. So these drivers keeping that in mind as they have now caught Brian Wilderson in that 5 spot. I think Wilderson really going to try and take care of these tires in that 951 machine and try and make a big push towards the end of the run as the other cars really fall off on speed. The top 4 staying the same from where they restarted. Only switched Dave Payne up into P number 2 from P number 3. But Tim Rogers continues to lead the way here at the Kansas Motor Speedway for race number 10 of the American Sim Racing Club Next Gen Series. As be sure to tune in to tonight, folks, at the 9 o'clock normal time, because it is the start of the playoffs. We'll be live at the Richmond Raceway, so you won't want to miss that, as that stream already on up on the Turn 3 Racing Network. Be sure to join us for that race as that gets wild. Richmond, another fun track, dynamic track, a lot to go on and a lot of great racing there, so you won't want to miss that and see who locks themselves in to the next round here in the first race. Further back in P number 10, we got a side-by-side battle. Deontay here trying to work this top side. Tanner Tallarico down low as Hayden Swink now sets his sights on the number 82 machine of Zach Rush. As we go back up front, I mean, we got to ride on board with Dave Payne. We got a cockpit camera on him and just see how close these cars are running to each other. I mean, Dave Payne, it doesn't get much closer than that to his front bumper. And then, of course, Stephen Hoffman right on Dave's back bumper. As Dave has to get out of it just a little bit to not hit that wall off in turn number 4. That is going to be anyone's detriment. That wall off in turn number 4 comes up so quick, you either run to the top or the bottom side. As you see, flying Brian Wilderson up top in that 951, closing rapidly here on the back bumper of Dave Payton. They go now side by side. Wilderson with the new tires, but gets loose, has to chase the car up, almost gets in the door, Dave Payton, as that could have been very bad, folks, but somehow Brian Wilderson hangs onto that race car, does lose a handful of spots now, put in the middle of 3 wide, but man, that could have been a lot worse for those drivers there in the top 5. So we complete lap number 20 of the scheduled 90 distance. Now the highest car up on those new tires is the Project Confusion's number 44 machine. That being piloted by AJ Hamill. That thing, he was very sporty at Bristol, just ran out of time. He was patient with his stuff and was on a big charge late. Like I said, just ran out of time. We'll see what he can do tonight here at the Kansas Speedway as he takes over P number 3. So Hamill up into the podium spots. We'll see what he can do as Brian Wilderson, I think, finally got those tires back into order and trying to back roll this top side here in this 951. He sucks up right to the back bumper of Hamill here, heading through turns number 3 and now coming through turn number 4. So some great race, and Tim Rogers loving what he sees out of his mirror. These guys racing very hard behind him. He's hoping they burn up their stuff before they get up to him. But we'll have to see as Tanner Tallarico, also another car up on that top lane, and he is moving. Absolutely flying last time by about half a second quicker than the cars around him. Tanner Tallarico says it's time to drop the hammer. He is coming in a hurry here in this one machine. As we take a little bit wider shot here, see these cars take these different lines as Hamill slowly reeling in Dave Payne for P number 2. Brian Wilderson right there as well. And Tanner Tallarico trying to make that run work there in the back. As further on up, AJ Hamill gets to the outside of Payne. Payne has to be extra cautious on the throttle. That opens up the door now for Brian Wilderson up top. It might be a freight train to the top side for Dave Payne as he tries to make that inside line work, but he has to be very timid getting back in that throttle as those tires starting to fade away on that number 38 Pinkerton machine. Stephen Hoffman not on new tires, but I think being patient with him, and he's now around Dave Payne. Now here comes Brandon Marlowe. Now we turn our sights on the battle for the race lead. Tim Rogers leading almost all the laps here in this first quarter of this race, but I think that might be coming to an end here as Hamill, Wilderson, as Hoffman gets big time loose off of turn number 2. That allows Payne to go by, and now maybe even Brandon Marlowe. So another great save by another driver as these cars, their handling is fading away from them here in a hurry. We see our leader, Tim Rogers. He had his spotter in his ear telling the momentum's up top. The lane seems to be up there. Move on up there. See what you can do. At best, you know, at least take away their preferred line. Give them some dirty air to deal with. But Tim Rogers, our race leader, up on the top side here as we complete lap number 27. A little bit further back, Stephen Hoffman, after that save, falls all the way back 3 wide as Dave Payne gets a big piece of the wall heading into turn number 1. That Pinkerton machine has some right side damage. You got to wonder, how does that affect the speed as we saw Hoffman drop into the back? Maybe Hoffman has some right side damage, but Payne definitely got a big piece of the wall there in turns 1 and 2. We'll see off here on the front stretch, see how much damage that right side does have to Dave Payton. It looks fairly clean, but sadly on the iRacing sim, you know, it could look clean but still have damage as we head up to a 3-car battle here for the race lead. Here, just about a third done with this race already, folks. Three-wide battle for the race lead. Brian Wilderson with a big run down low, able to clear both cars on the front stretch. He'll sail it to the top side and take over the race lead. Now AJ Hamill with the momentum up top will get clear of Tim Rogers. So top 3 looking like the following. Brian Wilderson back leading at the point. AJ Hamill in second. Tim Rogers in third. Brandon Marlowe fourth. Tanner Tallarico fifth. And now Kyle Munson does get around Dave Payne, and Hayden Swank trying to follow Munson on through. So some great racing throughout the field here tonight already, and we still got now just under 60 laps of racing left here at the Kansas Motor Speedway. Further on back, Zach Rush has reeled back in Deontay Heuer. This is the battle for 10th, as Heuer will get a piece of the wall through 3 and 4. This opens up the door for Zach Rush in that 82 machine. So I believe teammates here doing battle for a top 10 finish here tonight. As now Tanner Tallarico continues to charge on up through the field. He is up to P number 4 and trying to reel in the back bumper of the number 48 machine of Tim Rogers. Let's ride on board here with the Boardwalk sub number 1 machine, Tanner Tallarico. We'll take a look at lap times here as we ride on board with him. Best lap, a 31.2, but his last time by at 30.20, about 3/10 of a second, faster than the car in front of him, Tim Rogers. Tim Rogers knows his fight isn't with the one machine, and Tallarico does not slide up in front of him there. So they go side by side here in turns number 1 and 2 as Tallarico will clear the pass off of turn number 2. Rogers falls on back to those new tires. Out of the top 6, 5 out of the top 6 on those fresh tires. The only car in this mix that did not pit is this 48 machine of Tim Rogers, just trying to hang on and not lose too much ground to these cars around him. As Rogers has 2 cars right behind him now on fresh tires, that being Brandon Marlowe and Hayden Swank, who will continue to stay side by side for that spot. Now Swank has a little bit of the momentum. He will now clear Marlowe and now set his sights on Tim Rogers. Hayden Swank committed to that inside line. Will go around Rogers down low. Now Brandon Marlowe tries to follow in the opening. Tim Rogers doesn't close the gap. Rogers goes to the wall. Marlowe will try and wrap that white line down in turns number 1 and 2. We go to the battle for the race lead, though. Brian Wilderson continues to lead the way, but AJ Hamill right there about 0.2 of a second behind him in case our race leader makes any sort of mistake, but both cars about the same line. Hamill keeping the pressure on Wilderson to keep pushing those tires. But the car that is catching him is Tallarico ever so slightly, but continues to click down the gap lap after lap. Brandon Marlowe has not got around the 48 machine of Tim Rogers, so Marlowe now under fire from the number 8 machine of Kyle Munson. Munson on those old tires as well, but was very cautious. We saw him fall back quickly at the start. Tim Rogers kisses the wall there in 1 and 2. Now Kyle Munson trying to push those old tires here late, and I think that waiting is paying off as we've had a long green flag run. But up front, battle for the race lead. AJ Hamill almost clears Brian Wildison. They go side by side, and Hamill does clear him. Now Wildison looking for a crossover on the front stretch, but that lap led for his first time here in the American Sim Racing Club. AJ Hamill has led a lap here. We'll see what he can do pace-wise, as now he has fresh air out in front for that Project Confusion number 44 machine. Now Tallarico about a half a second back from that battle. We gotta keep an eye on that as we have one car down pit road. That is the 00 machine of Deontay Hero down pit road. So we might be getting some green flag pit stops as Kyle Munson trying to get around the 48 machine of Tim Rogers. Finally, Brandon Marlowe trying, but not quite able to get it done either. Marlowe having a big time struggle to get around that 48 machine of Tim Rogers. As Deontay Hero, first car down pit road for green flag pit stops. I think it's a little bit early for those green flag pit stops. We'll have to wait and see. I'll at least want to split it halfway down the middle, if not a little bit after, especially with these cars that have those 10-lap advantage tires. Speaking about tires, AJ Hamill has not been able to drive from Brian Wildison. These two right on top of each other for the race lead. But the guy that has been driving, that is the 1 machine of Tanner Tallarico. He is catching the back bumper of Wildison here very quickly. Tanner Tallarico with an uncharacteristic big-time mistake there on 1 and 2. He loses a lot of ground as we ride on board with the back windshield of Brian Wildison. So now Tallarico is going to have to push a little bit once again to try and get to the back bumper of this race lead here. A little bit further back, Brandon Marlowe finally gets around Tim Rogers for that 6th position. Now Stephen Hoffman there, and Dave Payne comes down pit road right before the halfway mark in that 38 Pinkerton machine. So Payne commits to a green flag pit stop. He gets a good pit time, and he's in and out. 45 seconds total on pit lane, as Stephen Hoffman, big time hit to the outside wall off of turn number 4. That car definitely gonna feel it after that one, folks. As battle for the race lead, Brian Wildison trying to put the moves on AJ Hamill there in 1 and 2, but doesn't quite get the run. He'll try and set him up here again as Tanner Tallarico once again enters in this battle here. This time by at the flag stand though for the leaders. Cross flags here, halfway down, halfway home, here in race number 10 of the American Sim Racing Club Next Gen Series. As it is a big time 3-car battle for the race lead, as now we have another taker down pit road. That is the number 8 Horizon machine of Kyle Munson coming down for his green flag pit stop up into stall number 2, as almost contact there for the race lead between Brian Wildison and AJ Hamill. Wildison trying to use up as much track as he can from that middle lane to the top. off these corners. But Hamill hitting his marks. And it's going to be very tough to get around that 44 machine. He has been very fast up top and very consistent as well. As here comes Tanner Tallarico down low, trying to paint that white line down low. He'll slide on up and go right to the back bumper of Brian Wilderson. Battle for the race lead. Then a little bit further back, battle from 5th on back here, as it looks like Brandon Marlowe not being able to get away from the 23 and 48. These cars keeping pace with Marlowe. It's once again Hoffman gets a piece of the wall off of turn number 4. You gotta wonder how much more that car can take, as that now opens up the door maybe for Tim Rogers to try and make a move. As we take a look back here at the leaders here on lap, now coming to lap number 50, 40 laps to go here around the Kansas Motor Speedway. And we got a barn burner for the race lead. We see 3 different drivers taking 3 different lines around this track, trying to see what will work. As AJ Hamill continues to lead here, Brian Wilderson in 2nd, Tanner Tallarico in 3rd, Hayden Swank back up into 4th, and Brandon Marlowe in the 37 machine rounds out the field. As, oh man, we got green flag pit stop takers. AJ Hamill and Tanner Tallarico both down pit road, as that will hand over the race lead here to Brian Wilderson. They want to make sure they pit early and not get undercut too much by those cars that did pit on those older tires. They have a nice lead, so this now hands over the race lead to the 951 machine of Brian Wilderson. When does Wilderson come down pit road? It looks like he comes down this time, does not let them undercut him too much, as he'll get on the binders and bring the 951 Project Watershed machine down to his pit crew. With that pit stop, that hands over the race lead here in these green flag pit stops to the 35 machine of Hayden Swank. Swank now probably coming in here sooner than later. Only 3 cars have not pitted, that being Swank, Marlowe, and Stephen Hoffman. I believe Zach Rush, also another car that has not pitted. So actually 4 cars have not pitted yet here tonight at the Kansas Motor Speedway during this green flag pit stop. Looks like Brian Wilderson does roll that car out on pit road. So we'll see where he comes out compared to AJ Hamill. As, oh, Wilderson will spin it off of pit road. He'll lock it on down, spin it in front of the field. That could have been very bad, folks, as the yellow flag does come out to that. Brian Wilderson trying to get too much with it, coming off of pit road, and ends up spinning it, and that puts a big change into tonight's complexion, as once again we see a yellow during green flag pit stops and only 4 cars on the lead lap. That is going to change up a lot, folks, so don't go anywhere. We're going to go to commercial break. On the other side, we'll see how it shakes out, as I believe we'll have only a handful of cars here on the lead lap. Don't go anywhere, folks. Alrighty, we come back after a quick break, able to give myself a breather as we've had some awesome racing here. Kyle Munson going around. He was the lucky dog there, as all these cars here will get waved around the pace car with the 1 to go signal. But our race leader looks like will be the 35 machine of Hayden Swank. He will be leading us to the green flag. So the cars that stayed out late paying on off tenfold with that yellow flag falling when it did in the middle of green flag pit stops. It looks like the one car, the 48 and the 44 are all going to be waved around here on the 1 to go signal. Get a lap back. But Hayden Swank takes over the point. Brandon Marlowe in second. Zach Rush up into the podium in P number 3. As this time by for the field, we should see the 1 to go signal from the flagman. The light should get extinguished around the racetrack, and we'll be getting ready to go back. Green flag racing here in the second half of this race. The question is, especially with that long green flag run, how much are these drivers going to push? How much are they going to save? As we saw it go green for a long time there. Will we get another one? We'll find out here in 3/4 of a lap. So it looks like everyone up into P number 8 on the lead lap. First car lap down, Dave Payne, then Brian Wilderson, Deontay Hira. 2 laps down, I believe. And then Dev McDonald out of this race. Still have 11 cars out on the speedway here after the halfway point in race number 10 of the American Sim Racing Club Next Gen Series. Hayden Swank leading the field to green flag. The iRacing pace car makes the left-hand turn down pit road. And now we wait for Swank to get on it here in the Geico restart zone. He'll jump on the loud pedal, get a great restart. He'll have at least 5 car lengths by the time they dive it down into turn number 1 over Brandon Marlowe. As Swank tries to check on out, Brandon Marlowe hangs on to second. And here comes Stephen Hoffman on the top side, trying to bring along Dave Payne in that 38 Pinkerton machine. Zach Rush trying to get that spot back from Stephen Hoffman. Gets tight, makes contact, and he'll hit the wall hard. He'll spin here in the middle of 3 and 4. One car spinning through the grass. I believe that is Deontay here as the yellow flag comes on out. Deontay here ends up down on pit road, and that will be our 3rd yellow flag of the night as Deontay here, I think, just makes contact with that inside wall as we go back under yellow flag conditions here at the Kansas Motor Speedway. A hard hit for Zach Rush. Hopefully he's feeling all right after that one as that car makes contact with the left side of Stephen Hoffman, then gets loose, then hits the right side of Dave Payton, and then hard 45-degree hit into the outside safer barrier. The question is, I think Stephen Hoffman does come down pit road, try and get any of those damage repaired. One car that got so lucky that Rush ended up in the middle of the track, that being AJ Hamill, who was committed to that top side and drove through the smoke. He saw it clear and he went for a gap. Luckily, it was there. As we now are 2/3 of the way done with this race, it looks like Brian Wilderson does get the wave around, so he'll go back on the lead lap. I believe Dave Payne 2 laps down, so Payne hoping for 2 more yellows to get back on the lead lap. As Hayden Swank leading the way, Brandon Marlowe still hangs on to second. Now Kyle Munson in the number 8 Horizon machine. He started P number 2. He's back up in the podiums. He's up to P number 3 here. And Tanner Tallarico up into 4th. And our pole sitter Tim Rogers rounds out the top 5 here for this next restart. As I believe that time by, we'll get the 2-2 green signal. So a little bit extra pace laps because we do have cars a lap down. Going to be able to give them a chance to pit because they pit a lap later than the lead lap cars to try and keep pit road not as busy. Like I said before, folks, we'll remind you again, don't go anywhere. Be sure to tune in later here tonight to the Turn 3 Racing Network for our live coverage of the start of the playoffs, round number 1 in full swing here. They'll be attacking the Richmond Raceway here tonight for 120 laps here, and we'll see who can lock themselves in early at the Richmond Raceway. Oh man, you do not expect to see that Hayden Swank with an issue on pace laps. He will try and get that thing rolling, but I think he was just maybe looking down at his gauges, didn't realize how close he was to that grass, ended up looping it under yellow here. We'll have to see if he gets that spot back, or maybe Kyle Munson will be leading us to the green flag. As it looks like Hayden Swank does take back over the point, so Swank now, you got to wonder how those tires are. A little bit of a spin and then in the grass, so those tires going to be a little sketchy for the 35 machine. We'll have to see how Hayden Swank here refires on this restart here. Through turns number 3 and 4, the field will come. Hayden Swank leading us back to the green flag under yellow for the 3rd time here tonight as the iRacing pace car heads down pit road, and Swank now enters in the Geico restart zone. He jumps on the loud pedal. We go back, green flag racing action here at Kansas. And with that, folks, we're going to actually go do some turn 3, turn it up. So I'm going to take a break from talking and let the cars do the talking. We go back up to our race leader, Hayden Swank, but some great battles here in the mid-pack here at the Kansas Motor Speedway. Tanner Talarico trying to make the moves on Dave Payne, who finds himself one lap down. Next lucky dog candidate, Payne knows he does not want to be in the next yellow if he can help it, as we have 25 laps to go. This could be anyone's race as we see them racing it on up here for those mid-pack. Tim Rogers able to just slide in front of AJ Hamill. Tim Rogers trying to make a push here. He's on the same tire strategy as the cars around him. So Hayden Swank, even with that little bit of right front damage to that car, he's able to keep pace, and he's keeping the pace out in front. He leads the way. Now Kyle Munson under fire from Brandon Marlowe. Marlowe gets a fender out to his outside, so Marlowe, our dirt track specialist, rolling the top side here. He knows something about pushing the cushion. We'll see what he can do pushing this outside line here tonight at the Kansas Speedway. Marlowe will sail it on in on the top side. Looks like he will almost get clear of Munson. Now off of turn number 2, he should be, as the rest of the field side by side behind this battle, as Hamill able to get up to the top side. Tim Rogers down low, and here comes Dave Payton. Where is he coming from? He makes a 3 wide off of turn number 4. Payton says, you know what, if we can't get our lap back here under yellow, we'll do it the hard way. We'll go around and pass everyone. Dave Payton on the move in that Pinkerton machine up in this top lane. Hamill stuck in the middle. Talarico almost there to capitalize as Hamill shuts the door down the backstretch. Tim Rogers still committed to that inside lane, one of the lowest cars in the corner on the speedway at the moment. Dave Payne, man on a mission now to his inside. Kyle Munson, who sits in the P number 3 spot, as Payne continues to try and click off cars and get this lap back here. These cars all good to go the distance. Tanner Talarico with a wild move. He slides right in front of the nose of Hoffman and now dives to the inside of Tim Rogers. Stephen Hoffman right there as well, battling with Brian Wilson in the 951. Brandon Marlowe has closed up the gap to our race leader, Hayden Swank. Now about less than a 10th gap and a half a car length between the two, as Marlowe tries to go from the top lane all the way down low to get a big run. And that almost opens up the door for Dave Payne to try and stick a nose to the top side of the 37 machine. AJ Hamill here trying to get around Kyle Munson for that P number 3 spot. And here comes Tim Rogers with a big run. He's making it 3 wide here down the front stretch. Tim Rogers down low, Munson in the middle. AJ Hamill up top here through turns number 1 and 2. Hamill has a run here up top, but Tim Rogers shorter distance. He tries to keep the momentum, as now Munson shuts the door right in front of Stephen Hoffman. Hoffman's got to not be happy in that 23 machine. Getting that nose taken off here more times than I can count here late in this race. But folks, this shows the racing and driving caliber of these racers here at the American Sim Racing Club. These guys racing right on top of each other with some great moves and no yellow flags. All cars keeping it in the right direction, and they're doing a great job of it, because this is some fantastic racing as these laps slowly click on down here. We are almost to the 15 to go mark. Dave Payne now losing a little bit of pace, so we'll have to see how this field gets on around him, as Stephen Hoffman trying to make the move on Kyle Munson. Tanner Talarico getting that Boardwalks number 1 machine wound up on the top. We'll see if Tanner can find any sort of holes, as both preferred lines very congested here, especially this top lane here. And you know who's loving what he sees in his mirror? Hayden Swank. He has checked out to just over a 3/4 second advantage as Brandon Marlowe gets a piece of the wall in P number 2. That clears Dave Payne. Now AJ Hamill will try and do the same here for P number 2. Can AJ Hamill sail it down here in 3 and 4? Slide up in front of Marlowe. It looks like he will not, so Marlowe will have a big run on the top side. And here comes Kyle Munson as well. 3 wide here for our second position. Hamill will slide back behind Brandon Marlowe. Now he has to try and defend that spot from Kyle Munson as Munson does clear Hamill. Hamill, I think, had to get out of it just a hair. That now opens up the door for Tanner Tallarico in that number 1 machine down low. So some awesome battles, but with this battle, this allowed Hayden Swank now to increase his gap to over 1 second. The question is, how much more does Hayden Swank have in the tank, or with these guys racing like they are for second on back, are they burning up their stuff more than what they can use to catch our race leader? We have now less than 14 laps to decide. AJ Hamill, Tanner Tallarico single file on out for that 4th, 5th battle. As Kyle Munson has taken over our runner-up spot. He is back up to P number 2 where he qualified. We'll see if Munson can reel in our race leader, Hayden Swank. Munson, one of those drivers that likes those long runs. He's able to really save his stuff and be there when it counts. But as big time hit for a few drivers. Looks like Brandon Marlowe got a big piece of the wall. Same with Tanner Tallarico. And that opens up the door for the cars behind him as Tallarico, big time damage. He is off the pace. He'll drop all the way back to P number 8 with a hit off of turn number 4. Brandon Marlowe did hit that wall, but he kept his foot in it, able to hang on to P number 3. But now AJ Hamill right to the back bumper here as they go side by side in the front stretch. AJ Hamill down low trying to clear him. He does clear him. So Marlowe, you got to wonder, is that car affected by that damage? He seems to be off the pace a little bit here late in this race. We'll see if AJ Hamill can catch Kyle Munson, who is trying to work over the lap car of Dave Payton. We'll see if he looks like Munson will clear him, but out in front, Hayden Swank will see 2 open hands from the flagman. That time by 10 laps to go here on the Kansas Motor Speedway. 15 miles left in this race. And I think if Hayden Swank doesn't have any mistakes or a yellow flag, I think he might pull off the win here. He did win our first regular season race at the Daytona Motor Speedway, and I believe he is the points leader coming into tonight. So if he picks up the win, he gets some more bonus points and continues to increase the gap over that cutoff line. Munson we're looking at in P number 2. He has some gap to our 3rd place driver, AJ Hamill. And Brian Wilderson, seemed like he was sitting in 8th a while in that pack, now has made it up back to P number 4. He's going to try and catch that 44 machine of AJ Hamill. Brandon Marlowe still hanging on to P number 5, but that is in jeopardy now as Tim Rogers, T-Man, looks to his inside. Tim Rogers down low. Brandon Marlowe up top with the momentum. They go side by side. It looks like Marlowe has the advantage, but Rogers once again committed to that inside line. He'll go the shorter distance around turns number 3 and 4. As Marlowe gets a little loose off the corner, that opens up the door for Tim Rogers. He's able to get about a half car advantage. We'll see if Rogers, he clears it by the time they head into turn number 1. So Tim Rogers up into P number 5. Stephen Hoffman down on pit road in that 23 machine. Hoffman having some late issues here in this race. Battle for our final podium spot. Brian Wilderson has caught the back bumper of AJ Hamill. Hamill, though, he's known that pressure from that 951 machine. We saw these two duking it out for the race lead in that long green flag run. We'll see what they can do here with 6 laps to go. So late in this race, 7 cars on the lead lap. Here, this time by, we see 1 open palm from the flagman. 5 laps to go as AJ Hamill able to increase the gap a little bit to Brian Wilderson. You gotta wonder, did Wilderson use up his stuff to get to the back bumper of Hamill? As Hayden Swank continues to keep that lead just about the same over Kyle Munson. So Hayden Swank hoping to see that white flag sooner than later as he continues to lead this race late in this race. Four to go that time by. Wilderson will drive it down to this inside lane. AJ Hamill keeping that car pinned up top. That thing looks pretty set up for up there as he's not waiting too long to get on the throttle and not sideways at all. So Hamill doing everything he needs to do to pick up his first podium of the American Sim Racing Club here at Kansas. He just has to hang on to the spot for 3 more laps. Out in front, we ride on board with our race leader, Hayden Swank. He's losing a little bit of time to Kyle Munson, but it's not going to be quick enough here with only 2.5 laps left around the Kansas Motor Speedway. Hayden Swank this time by. We'll see popsicle sticks up in the air. 2 more laps to go around the Kansas Motor Speedway. He has clean track in front of him here. He just has his marks as he almost gets a piece of the wall there in turns number 1 and 2. As he's trying to interest the line, he's entering out the wall, then getting that car to rotate at the apex and then driving it straight off towards the bottom. And it looks like Munson able to make up a good amount of time there as Wilderson able to get around AJ Hamill. Now Hamill will cross him on over here for the white flag as Hayden Swank will see the white flag as Wilderson tried the slider, got it cleared, but man, had to wait a while on the throttle as AJ Hamill able to power on by and once again put about 4 car lengths between these two. Through turns number 3 and 4 here for the final time under white flag. Hayden Swank will come off of 4, and Hayden Swank will win the race here tonight at the Kansas Motor Speedway. Kyle Munson will finish in the 2nd position. Awesome run by Kyle. And AJ Hamill, his first podium of the American Sim Racing Club, he will finish in P number 3. Brian Wilderson, a solid effort, will finish 4th. And tonight's quick time, Tim Rogers will round out the top 5 as Hayden Swank will bring it over to the front stretch here and give the fans some burnouts here. So Hayden Swank goes from below the apron on the back stretch and the front stretch, and now ultimately parks it down in victory lane. A up and down night for Swank, but he's got to be ecstatic to pick up the win after the race here that he had, as he'll burn it down on the front stretch for all the fans in the stands here at the Kansas Motor Speedway. As that will do it there. Hayden Swank burning on down. We won't be talking to these drivers just yet because we'll be talking to them at the 9 o'clock hour. So You won't want to miss that. We'll have that before the race. We'll be talking to Hayden Swank, as here is the race results. Hayden Swank in the 35 machine picks up the win and adds some extra bonus points right before the start of the playoffs here tonight at 9 o'clock. Kyle Munson finishes runner-up in the 8 Horizon machine. AJ Hamill with his first American Sim Racing Club podium will finish third. Brian Wilderson with a hard-fought effort will finish fourth. Tim Rogers with the quick time finishes in fifth. Sixth goes to Brandon Marlowe. Seventh is Tanner Tallarico. Eighth is Dave Payne. Ninth, Stephen Hoffman. 10th, Deonta Hearer. 11th goes to Zach Rush. And Devin McDonald finishes in 12th and rounds out the field. So thanks again to all the viewers watching this replay here. I know a weird time at 6 p.m., but hopefully you guys enjoyed it. Thanks again to all the sponsors at the American Sim Racing Club. Gotta give Andrew a huge shout out for putting on this awesome series. And of course, we gotta give a huge shout out to these drivers as they get ready to do battle here tonight at Richmond for the start of the playoffs. I've been Brett the Jet from Turn 3 Racing Network. Be sure to tune in to Turn 3 throughout the week as we have a lot of great broadcasts and series to watch. Everyone have a great day, and we'll catch you in a few short hours. I've been Brett the Jet, and I just flew by you.